I want to well first of all, Andy and Monique, thank you for joining us. It is 4:57, and I want to welcome everybody that has joined us so far. We're going to have an incredible time. We have a lot to talk about. Most importantly, we are let's see, we have a few people from the Luxury Cruise Connections team here. And The format of today is we're going to have a lot of fun, but most importantly, we're going to answer a lot of questions. What we're going to do is we're going to allow people to join in slowly but surely uh, for the next couple of minutes. At around 4 minutes past the hour, we are going to officially get started because most people will end up joining anywhere between 5 and 5:02, 5:03. And As we get started, we're going to have an opportunity to introduce everybody once again. Um, Denise is our official moderator.
Hello,
Uh,
everyone.
that's Denise. Denise is our marketing manager here at Luxury Cruise Connections. And what she is doing, just so you guys notice, is she is changing all of our names at Luxury Cruise Connections and adding the dash Luxury Cruise Connections next to her name so that you can easily identify anybody that is in this meeting that belongs to our organization. And the same thing she's doing for for Andy and for Monique at Crystal. So Andy, you can see Andy Fuentes dash Crystal Cruises or Crystal, and Monique dash Crystal. So that way, you know who's who as we are talking. I see in our chat, I see David Newland. How you doing, David? How are you? Thank you for joining us. You're one of our more loyal Zoom call attendees. I love that. And Robert Dice as well. How you doing, Robert? Nice to see you, or know that you're here at least. We are. Let's see. And I see Steve Golko saying hi to some of his guests and invitees. We're going to have a very interesting mix of attendees tonight. We have some of our attendees are past guests of Luxury Cruise Connections. Some of the attendees are past guests of Crystal, some are not. Some might be the first time that you learn about us, and it's a great opportunity for us to connect and share information with all of you. But most importantly, it's an opportunity to kind of get to know a little bit of the human and real side of our brands, of the Luxury Cruise Connections brand and the Crystal Cruises brand. Um, and it really helps kind of understand who we're dealing with and who's on the other side of the phone or who we're actually doing business with. So that's very important to us. Um, so glad to see all of you joining in. Let's see, we have about 35 participants, which is great. It's a great turnout, and I would expect that we're going to see somewhere close 45 or maybe close to 50 by the time we hit 5:03, which is going to be great. Going to be great. Monique, so how you doing?
No, I'm good. It's Wednesday. It's hot and steamy in Florida, and we had a little rain shower. So, it could be worse. It can always be worse. Life is good.
Right? Right.
Yeah.
What about you, Andy?
Same thing. Life is good. It is hot and steamy in Miami Beach. We did have a storm coming just now. So, but no, everything is fantastic.
Great.
Another beautiful day in paradise.
Right? Well, for us is a little bit of a interesting time. This picture that you see behind me, right here, this is actually, for those that don't know, it's our new building, and I proudly put it up here. And some of you that have joined me in past calls have seen it. We've been trying to move into our new building for the last 2 weeks straight. Literally every single day has been a different inspector with a different issue that we need to correct before they give us TCO. We finally were able to get building TCO, and now we're getting our office TCO between today and tomorrow. So we're thinking Monday's finally going to be the day we're going to be all getting back to the office. if we can, ideally. So we'll see. But in the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start making some initial introductions. So for those that just recently joined us, first of all, thank you very much for joining us today. We're extremely excited to be sharing the next several minutes, an hour, past an hour with you guys talking about Crystal Cruises and the luxury cruise line industry. I am Carlos Edery, the CEO of Luxury Cruise Connections. And together with me moderating this meeting is Denise, our marketing manager. Denise, say hi.
Hi, everyone. How are you?
And as I was explaining before, Denise has been changing all of our names to reflect the Dash Luxury Cruise Connections next to our name, so you can recognize anybody that belongs to the Luxury Cruise Connections organization. And same thing with Andy and Monique from Crystal Cruises, so you know who they are. And with us today from the Luxury Cruise Connections team, we have Steve Golko, we have George Torres, we have Tom DeRiches, of course Denise, we have Laura Bowman, we have Jess Santana, we have Roger Powell, and I think that's it in terms of our Luxury Cruise Connections team. Everybody else must be probably taking care of clients, and they might chime in later on throughout our meeting. And then from Crystal Cruises, we have Andy and Monique. I'm going to allow you guys to introduce yourself with titles and what you do. And then we're going to get started very, very soon. Why don't we do this? So Andy, why don't you tell our attendees tonight who you are, and then Monique, you go ahead.
Sure.
All right, everybody. Well, good evening. My name is Andy Fuentes. I am the Strategic Business Development Manager in South Florida. And with me, I have Monique Ross. Monique.
Hey guys, how are you? I am the Director of Sales for the East Region of Crystal Cruises. So Andy and I work very closely together, and Florida is obviously very close to our hearts. So we make a good team.
Awesome, awesome. So first of all, thank you, Andy and Monique, for your time today. Thank you for joining us and giving us this opportunity to grill you with questions today. Hopefully we'll be able to handle them all.
We got big shoulders, Carlos. You should know that. We got big shoulders. We're ready. We love this stuff. It's all good.
Exactly. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about the format of today. We want to allot for a lot of time today for questions and answers. Okay. So this is what this is what we should expect. We're going to allow everybody, we're going to mute everybody as much as we can. We're going to allow Andy and Monique to kind of give us a little bit of a quick understanding of Crystal Cruises. For those that know Crystal Cruises very well, you might know a lot of the stuff that they're going to talk about, but we're going to keep that portion of our call relatively short. Okay, and then we're going to try to, by the time we hit 5:25 at the latest, we're going to get started with questions. Probably sooner than that. We'll see how much information Monique and Andy have to share. But we're going to make it very interactive. If you guys have any questions in the meantime, while they're talking and while other questions are happening, feel free to type them in the chat. Okay. And we will get to every single one of your questions in the chat and answer each one by one. Okay. At the same time, our Luxury Cruise Connections team members are going to be interacting with you throughout the presentation or throughout the call on a privately basis via the chat as well. If you have any particular questions or anything like that, feel free to ask them, ask me. We're gonna do a lot of interacting via the chat as well. Okay. At the same time, as soon as we open up the mics, we're going to allow everybody to just kind of raise your hand, or either virtually or physically. And we're going to be opening your mic so that we can ask specific questions. And also throughout the call, Denise is going to be pushing some very short questions, survey type questions throughout the call, so that we can get some insight on who's joining us and how you're liking the presentation so far. Okay. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Andy and Monique. Take it away. There you go. There's the first question also, by the way. So
Just
that's how they're going to come.
Okay. And Andy, you're going to drive the bus, right, with the
I
presentation?
am.
That's
Here
just
we
so he can
go.
keep me under control. He knows I can go on and on and on, so he doesn't want to, we don't want to lose control of the situation. So first of all, Carlos, Denise, thank you guys for having us on this evening. We love doing this. It's a great opportunity to mix and mingle with your advisors as well as your consumers. So thanks again for the time. I'm looking at the time clock, and I'm sorry, Carlos, but you talked for almost 8 minutes. So it really takes us to about 5:30 to have our presentation. So what are you doing, Andy? I see things moving all over the place
There
here.
we
My
go. Sorry,
goodness.
sorry.
Oh my gosh. All right, he's already pushing me along. So we've already done our introductions. Andy, go ahead, pop up the next
There you
slide.
go.
Eager beaver. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's moving. It's moving. So let's talk a little bit about the world of Crystal. For those of you that are familiar with the brand, you kind of know who we are already, but we do want to definitely take some time at the top of this presentation to really talk about what makes Crystal special, what makes Crystal different. We have everything from the polar regions down to South Pacific. We do all over the world, and we're going to talk a little bit about the different experiences and product that we deliver. Because unlike a lot of cruise lines out there where we have a big ship or you're a river product, we've got a little bit of everything to offer everybody. So next slide, Andy. So those of you that are not familiar with us, and frankly, those of you guys may have sold us in the past or bought us in the past or sold us in the past, because we have advisors on the call as well. We've been around for 30 years. We're actually celebrating our 30th anniversary this month. And up until 2016, we were a big ship company. And what was exciting for me when I came on board to the company in 2016 is we really jumped and expanded into river. We have the yacht, we have the new expedition that was slated to come out this year. And then of course we had the new normal, as everyone's calling it, happen to us, but we do have the Endeavor schedule that she will be launched in 2021. And yes, you guys do see airplanes on the screen. We actually do have 2 airplanes that we fly and we charter. The Boeing 777 down in the lower left-hand corner has been flying back and forth between Asia, the United States, doing different types of supply runs. And then we have the small Bombardier jet that we also will charter out. Next slide. So let's talk about the pillars of Crystal and what makes Crystal so different and what we bring to the table. So we continue to win award after award, year after year. It was such a pleasure to come to Crystal because I'd worked for other brands that all were very unique in what they did. But when we came to Crystal, the service aspect of the product is absolutely amazing. We always say that our staff on board is just an extension of our family at sea. And you'll find, and those of you that have traveled us will probably attest to the same fact, that you really do feel when you step on board one of our ships, you have come home. And we've got guests, and you guys out there as the advisors with LCC will always reach out and say, our guest wants to know if this butler's on board, if this maitre d' is on board. They want to know a cruise director, because again, they want to see their family when they return. So we do have an amazing staff quality that we provide with the service. Space, never thought that this would be such an important pillar with our company. But as we go forward, and we'll talk about the elephant in the room toward the end of the presentation, but space, we've got these beautiful full-size ships that we have low capacity on. We have beautiful river ships that have half the capacity in just regular situations compared to other product of the same size. So you have more space to guest ratio on our product than you do on most any other product out there when you're talking about cruising product. The quality, it goes from the quality of our staff and the services to the quality of the food, the entertainment, the linens that we use, the china, the crystal that you drink out of. We are that 6-star service that's delivered. I'm going to leave choices to the last because I think that it really is the focal point that brings the pillars together. Destinations, as I mentioned, we're across the globe, and you're going to really see how deep we dive into that once we do the dive into each of the experiences. And Carlos is probably thinking, oh my God, how long can she talk? I can talk for a very long time, but Andy's going to keep me on target. So we'll talk about those different destinations. I can guarantee you we've got something out there for everybody as far as a destination goes. And choices. You know, before we started expanding our experiences, the choices were just on to see the different types of entertainment that we have that's available throughout the evening. But now with the river, the yacht, the expedition, heck, even if you want an airplane, you've got choices of how you cruise with Crystal as well. It's not just the choices on board each experience, but it's what experience you want to do. Next slide. So for those of you that are not familiar with Crystal, and those of you that have sailed us before, we do have some updates, but let's talk about what's included with our river yacht and expedition experience. You get your fine wines, champagnes, your spirits, your coffees, your beverages. You have mini bars in all of your rooms that are stocked to different types of specifications. We have open seating and specialty dining. And we have that across our fleets, and it really is that Crystal Club casual. So we don't have the formal nights that we used to have in the past. If you're longer than a 7-day voyage, you may have one black tie optional evening. We have the Etro Italian fashion bathrobes and slippers. We have different household amenities in staff. On our ocean, yacht, and river, we are now going to the Cotelet products from France, which are all organic products in the bathrooms as well. Unlimited Wi-Fi and that internet access. Again, really, truly an inclusive experience when you get on board. Next slide. Also with the Ocean River Yacht and Expedition, we have our prepaid gratuities included, 24-hour en-suite dining, housekeeping and nightly turn-down service. And we have this thing called, we have volunteerism, you care, we care. On various voyages that we offer, we do have complimentary shore excursions that are for volunteerism. So definitely when you go to our website and you're selecting an itinerary with your members and your advisors at LCC, you'll want to look at the website and see what shore excursions will incorporate the volunteerism that we offer across the world. We have the ultra thin TVs with on-demand movies, and you think, who goes on a cruise ship to watch movies? Well, we've got folks that will be on a ship for 2-3 months at a time with our world cruises. We have our grand voyages that are 14, 21, 32, 45 days. And heck, some evenings you just want to sit back in the room, have your butler deliver you your canapes and your cocktails, and watch a nice just released movie. In-touch lighting and room controls. You have complimentary laundriettes on board. 100% Egyptian cotton linens, and a pillow menu option as well. All of these coming with that standard 6-star service that we deliver. With River Yacht and Expedition, we do have some additional items to highlight. We do offer, included with our price points for the River Yacht and Expedition, we do have our complimentary shore excursions. You get your complimentary airport transfers to and from the ship on embark and debark days from the airport. Again, those prepaid gratuities are even included for your shore excursion drivers and your guides as well. So truly on River and Yacht Expedition, a completely inclusive experience. And I'm going to actually turn this over to Andy to talk about a couple of our experiences, and then I'll jump in and go back to the Yacht and Expedition, and then we'll talk about some specials, and then we'll open it up to what everyone's burning questions are for the question and answer session. Thanks, guys. Go ahead, Andy.
Thanks, Monique. So let's talk about the two ladies. As Monique said, this is actually were the bedrock of our brand up until 2016. We opened it up to other experiences. The two ocean ships, the Serenity and the Symphony. Just a little hint, guys, you know, on the Serenity, it's coming to Miami here very soon. So we're going to announce here a little promotion that's going to be very, very great for everybody, especially if you have that desire to just go somewhere. If you're like me, that just want to go on a cruise, go somewhere, definitely this is something that I definitely want to share with you. But on the ocean ships, what I definitely like is, number one, as Monique said, space. The staterooms are very spacious. A lot of folks think that with a small ship comes small spaces or small staterooms, and to be completely honest, is complete opposite. Very large staterooms, very spacious, no matter if you are in an ocean view or if you're in a veranda, we call veranda balconies, or if you want a suite. Definitely these staterooms are large, bathrooms are large, even the balconies outside, they're very large. Talk about around an average size of 56 square feet. Also the space around the common area. So you have palm court, we have afternoon tea, so maybe catch a string quartet, or the Crystal Cove. That's the hub of everything. That's everybody loves to meet, to catch a drink. We do have nightly entertainments as well. So if you want to catch a Broadway show, or even go to a movie theater, or maybe you want to dance, sing karaoke, maybe you want to sit down, just have a conversation, with the folks that you're with, or some new friends. We have a lot of things for there to do. We have various types of restaurants as well. So if you want to come into our specialty dining rooms, or if you want to come to our main dining rooms, we even have a Brazilian steakhouse on board the ocean ships, Churrascaria, which is my personal favorite, with a caipirinha. If you don't know what caipirinha is, you're missing out. It's one of those Brazilian mojitos I definitely like. But a lot of folks think do we just go to the Caribbean, or do we just go to Europe? Where do these ships go? And to be honest with you, we go throughout 6 continents. With the expedition, which Monique will cover here in a few minutes, we go to all 7 continents. But the ocean ships is where you can catch the world cruise. So I know out there is a world cruiser that like to go all over the continents, all over the world, and explore. But definitely, we have a special itinerary to someone. If you want to go to Europe, if you want to go to Africa, so forth and so on, Australia, we definitely have those voyages for you. Now, like Monique said, we do want to talk a little bit about the elephant in the room. But some folks right now want to be closer to home, and that's why I am going to share with you this promotion. Starting in October through December, we're going to have voyages out of Miami. So you can go for 7 days, Miami to San Juan, or San Juan to Miami, or you can go on a back-to-back. 14-day cruise, Miami to Miami, going to Eastern Caribbean, ABC Islands. Like, for example, we have an overnight in St. Bart's. Not many cruise lines get you overnight in an island such as St. Bart's. And then going up to the Western Caribbean.
Andy, first of all, this promotion required some drum roll before that. I mean, for those that haven't, for those that are not totally familiar with Crystal Cruises, I want you guys to know that, obviously, as you can see, based on the pictures and what they're saying, Crystal Cruises is very, very high-end cruise line. And to see this pricing, it's totally unheard of.
This
is basically like,
we've never had this, Carlos.
Yeah.
You can attest to this. This is ridiculous. And let me make a little point on this too, because to your point, Carlos, that these are amazing prices. This is close to home, so it's hitting on a lot of really important pieces. But also looking at those that are booking this. This is a great opportunity for your advisors. It's a great opportunity for you guys out there that are guests that have sailed other cruise lines, maybe are interested in trying what Crystal is. This is the opportunity to try a 6-star award-winning luxury line for an amazing price point. Everything is inclusive into this price point for you, to dip your toes in the water, see, what all the hype is about. And I can guarantee brand, even if obviously these prices don't stay forever, because these prices are not going to stay around forever. This is a one-time shot deal, folks, and it is selling very quickly. So go ahead, Andy. I'm sorry, but
no, it's okay. No, it definitely. Carlos, I'm glad you chimed in, because this is honestly, yes, it's right. It is unheard of, unseen, and I'll give you all the details here on this slide, because really want to see exactly what this promotion is. So it is $13.99, the starting price for an Ocean View. So what does that mean? It means that for one fixed price, whether if you're an Ocean View, or I'm just going to bring this up here, you see $13.99 for an Ocean View, $15.99 for a veranda, and $19.99 for a penthouse. What that means is, number one, you can pick any Ocean View that you want at $13.99, any veranda that you want for $15, no matter where it's located. Plus, folks, this also brings alcoholic beverages included. This also brings Wi-Fi included. This brings almost everything included but shore excursions. One price for everything. So, and that's not all. You also get $250 shipboard credit on top of that. Plus, if you're a single traveler, you get reduced single supplements. Now, in a minute here, I will tell you if Caribbean is not what you want to do here, I'll definitely want to tell you another promotion at the end of the presentation. This is an exclusive promotion with Luxury Cruise Connections. And I would tell you, we're the ones that give the deals to them. So not only this particular one, but other deals that you're going to see throughout the presentation, you know, we have exclusivity with them, in which we will share here at the very end. But definitely for this one, folks, if something you want to go on a cruise here, latter part of fall, you know, October, November, and December, you definitely want to take advantage of this. It's $100 reduced deposits. You get the shipboard credit. You get the reduced rates. If you do a back-to-back, we're going to give you an additional 10% off. So we're basically going to give you everything to try our brand. And trust me, folks, when I say that once you try us, you definitely want to come back again over and over. And, you know, taste our experience.
So this is what I want to say, and you know, I you know, the idea on the you know, on this event is I want to share with our audience the real insight behind it all, right? And you know, the one thing that I want to add is I want, you know, what we're going through as an industry, right? What's happening has made Crystal Cruises and everybody's in the industry basically to shift gears and pivot very, very quickly. I want to explain a little bit what Andy and Monique were presenting on that previous slide a second ago. We should know that the reason why this is happening is precisely because these ships were positioned to do Canada, New England, or Canada itineraries in general, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, Serenity was, yes, correct.
For November, December time, and correct me if I'm wrong, keep me real here, but because
what we were doing is we had her coming over and doing Canada for September, October. We did have the Caribbean itineraries, which we normally do each Q4, you know, last half of the year, November, December. So what we've done is we've extended our Caribbean itineraries because it was very clear that there was the uncertainty of whether Canada was going to open up borders. So by doing this, one, it gave us viability. Two, it gave us more, I would say, certainty of the sailings happening in the Caribbean versus in Canada. But at the end of the day, it made sense to put price points into place with, you know, everything that's going on in the world, because it is bringing a new client to the brand as well. It's giving guests the opportunity to, for whatever reason, you heard at the beginning of the presentation, I kind of talked about low capacity, you know, a lot of personal space. You know, Andy mentioned the 2 ocean ships, and we've got, you know, the Symphony, which is just over 50,000 tons, and she holds only 848 guests. We have the Serenity that's at 71,000 tons, and she holds 980 guests. That is a fraction of passengers compared to other ships that are the same size. So as we go through, and we'll definitely, you know, focus a little bit more at the end of the presentation about protocols and with COVID and CDC and all this.
I think we lost our, we for sure the Wi-Fi.
Obviously, there's this issue with social distancing protocols. We've been in sense of some of the protocols. I'm sorry? Am I back?
Yeah, you're back. You're back.
Yeah, it's the internet, you know how it is certain times of the day. So we're in a very good position with what we feel are going to be some of the protocols that are going to be put in place on the ships and with lower capacity. We don't have to deal with a vessel that was holding 4,000 people. We're holding less than 1,000 people on it. And when Andy talks about the river ships here, the picture that you see in front of you is a typical long boat. They are the same. Our ships are the same size as the other river products out there, and we are carrying about 50% of that capacity compared to competitors. You know, we are holding 106 guests on those ships versus, you know, 160 to, you know, 180 guests. And that is going to make a difference and makes us as a much more smaller, more nimble company that can pivot much easier when these new protocols come into place and the new guidance that will be put into place. So we feel very confident in that regard, because that seems to be the biggest concern right now, is putting a lot of people on a tight ship and having everybody on top of each other. And for those of you out there that have sailed on Crystal before, you can attest. You could get on one of our big ships and you never stumble over anybody. You never have lines. You're never, you know, crunched into small areas with people. And that's the typical way we cruise. So even if we have to reduce capacity further, it's going to be such a minimal impact to how we already operate that we feel good about that. So I'm sorry, Andy, go ahead and you can.
No, it's
go
okay.
on.
No, definitely. So let's talk about the river now. We talked about the ocean ships. We got promotion, but stay tuned. There's going to be another promotion after this. We'll talk about the river. So the river cruises, for those of you who haven't taken a river cruise or would like to take a river cruise, this actually is the itineraries that we do. We sail over the 4 main rivers. So we do the Rhine, do the Main, the Danube, and the Moselle. So if one of the things to do, definitely, you definitely want to be with Crystal. Why? Just what Monique just said, we have 106 passengers on our ships. Our ships are the newest in the fleet. We have a lot of space, and these ships are really beautiful. You know, every time that you go either very top on the Vista deck, or if you want to go throughout the Palm Court, we do have Palm Court River ships, you're going to see the views because we bring that outside world in. So what's included in a river cruise? Well, basically everything. We include all the drinks, alcoholic beverages, non-alcoholic, excursions. That's big. We include several array of various excursions that we include in every single one of our itineraries. Our itineraries go for 7, 11, or even 16 days. Because people are going on 16 days, yes, folks, there is a spa in this river cruise. So we have a lot of things for you to do now outside, but also inside the ship as well. Every single stateroom, no matter where you are, is a suite. That means to say you get a butler. So you're going to get butler service. Every single one of the staterooms also have a balcony, and that is what the picture you see there. We do have windows in these balconies because, you know, at nighttime, you definitely don't want any birds or anything like that coming in. But, you know, this window comes up and up whenever you want to and down whenever you want. So it's honestly a great stateroom to be in. The bathrooms are just, it also it's actually bigger than any other cruise line that you've seen. And guess what, folks? I mean, this is right now prime time. We've had this discussion already, but this is the prime time to book your river cruise right now with LCC. And here's the reasons why. So in 2021, we have over 77-day river sailings. So what we're going to do, I think we have more than that. But for 2021, what we're doing is we're actually reducing, you know, over 70 sailings, we're going to give 50% off these particular sailings. These sailings normally go about $7,600 to about $9,600 per person. We are selling the 7-day river cruises for $36.99 per person. Okay. Now,
That's the best available. That's the best available suite at the time that they book.
Any stateroom you want besides the suites, any staterooms that you want, you get it for $36.99. Now, I'm just giving you highlights of the promotion, but I definitely do not want to steal the thunder of your LCC consultant. So if you're interested, definitely let them know, hey, what dates can you give me? We have March, April, May, June, July, all the way to December. We have, and correct me if I'm wrong, Monique, we actually do have some Christmas markets on December.
We do, and on that point, if you guys are not sure of when you want to go or what's time frame is best for you to go, that's what your LLC advisors are for, right? They're here to represent you, understand what your needs are, and best position you with what Crystal is offering. Hopefully it will be on the Crystal product, but do it quickly. And I say that because you say 70 rivers voyages on this slide. I do know, because I get the reports from our revenue and inventory management department each day, and this promotion is changing literally on a daily basis because it is capacity control. We will sell so many suites on board the vessel at these price points. Once a ship fills to a certain level, we pull the offer off that voyage. And we have had those situations where someone goes and looks at a voyage on Tuesday and they, oh, I don't know, should I hold it? Should I not hold it? Hold it with your LLC advisor. You've got 7 days to put that non-refundable full payment down. So it is a commitment. So we give you some time to do that. But if you don't hold it, you could go back the next day and that sailing could be pulled off of the promotion. So it definitely is a high demand promotion. If you guys have sailed on the river product before, you know what an amazing, something else that was mentioned that Andy discussed in the prior slide and earlier in the very beginning of the talk was amazing, is that we have our own crystal wrapped coaches. These coaches are custom designed for Crystal Cruises. These coaches are coaches that were set up on a normal basis to hold 56 passengers. We only cap it at about 56 passengers. We cap it at about 36 passengers. I'm 5'10". You can't see that. If I was presenting in person, you'd see I touch the ceiling. But when I sit in one of our chairs on our coaches, I can't touch the seat in front of me. That's how much personal space you have, and they all have Wi-Fi to them. But here's the deal, folks. When we, even pre-COVID, right? Oh my gosh, I've said the word COVID, right? Pre-COVID, our groups would go out and you didn't see any of our crystal excursions with the guy walking with the paddle above his head with the 50 people like little penguins waddling behind him. Our groups that we have that go out in excursions are capped at 15 to 16 people to start with. So again, one more of those things that Crystal doesn't have to necessarily worry about as to how we're going to, quote, change our protocol, because this is our typical protocol, the way that we operate already.
We're already used to it.
Exactly. This is what we do. So again, it's just that personal feel, that social distancing, that intimate experience that you have with your guides, with your excursions, and you don't feel like you're one of the masses. You feel much more on a personal level. So go ahead. Yes, Carlos.
I want to steal a second from you guys here because
Sure.
Again, many of the people that are attending this call, you know, they're avid cruisers, but I just really need to highlight the following. And those that have sailed with Crystal before, please, you know, keep me real here as well. I think that what is important to highlight about that, you know, the river product particularly that you were talking about a second ago, is there wasn't really, up until a few years ago, there really wasn't a true 6-star product in the rivers. Like, and there are great products out there, by the way, and we have great partnerships with many of the other river cruise lines. Many of you have attended Zoom calls that we've had with other river cruise line product, you know, and they're all great. And I'm not gonna, you know, there's not saying that one, you know, they all have their strengths and I will not say weaknesses, but they all have their different strengths, right? But the one strength that we must highlight about Crystal is that is by far truly the most upscale, true 6-star product in the river. There's nothing like it. The Crystal brand is, to me, you know, equal to, you know, the most upscale level of personalized luxury you can imagine. I mean, I had the pleasure of flying on the 777 on our way to London.
She's amazing, huh?
Which was amazing, by the way. That pajama that you guys gave us, it's still my favorite pajama today, by the way, in the white. So, and you know, that's really just a little testament to the fact that everything that you guys do, you really care for those little details, and you make sure that they're perfect, and you make sure that, you know, you're not, you know, even with those 50% discounts on river, or even with those $13.99 fares on ocean. You know, I know, and I have that certainty that Crystal is going to keep that level of delivery, you know, to its high standards, no matter how low the price is, right? And that just gives us the certainty that the experience is going to be probably the most unique, luxurious experience you'll ever had, you know, at crazy prices. But anyway, I believe is that some Bart's in the background, Andy?
This
I believe it is.
I don't think that this is St. Bart's. I believe that this is the St. Martin when we come in from where we come in through St. Martin, one of the private coves. But this is the Esprit, and I had the pleasure of sailing on her. So, well, Carlos, when you're talking about, like, you know, it's just the most upscale. So when I did the Esprit, she holds 62 passengers, all suite accommodations, all butler service, just like the river has all butler service throughout, regardless of category. And she does these more intimate destinations. So we had her in the Caribbean for a few seasons, and we've now positioned her where she is in the Adriatic and the Med for the majority of her season. In the fall, she's out of the UAE. And then in the wintertime, she is in the Seychelles. So a few things to talk about. This experience is hands down the best commercial experience I've ever had on anything I've experienced. Oh, what are you raising your hand?
I have to because, okay, if I get so excited when we talk about the Esprit. If David Mendal, for those that know, David Mendal is my business partner here at Luxury Cruise Connections, my co-founder here, and the founder of the Forest Travel Organization, and so forth. And he had the opportunity to go on the Esprit, and that was last year. Until that, from that day, at least once a week, he still reminds me of the fact that the Esprit was the most. And this is a guy, by the way, this is a guy that he owns his private jet, has flown and been and stayed at the most amazing hotels in the world that you can possibly imagine. Okay, this is a guy that will be, will criticize every single thing you can imagine. All right, but he has not stopped telling me about how this was the most amazing and by far best vacation experience, putting that in any category of travel that he has ever had in his life.
Absolutely. I mean, short of a private yacht, I mean, having your own yacht to yourself, it's absolutely sublime. The destinations that we do definitely fit a yachter lifestyle. This is not the experience for those that truly love cruising with, shows and casinos and shops and, various different restaurants and, they have 8 choices and that kind of thing. The yacht is an intimate private yacht experience without chartering your own private yacht to do this. Now, for those of you that, are looking at those more exotic destinations, you may have heard that the Seychelles was going to prevent any cruising through 2021. The great news for us is they don't recognize us in the Seychelles as a cruise ship. They recognize us as a yachting experience as well as the ministry, but they are going to allow us to continue undisturbed sailing our 2021 season. So for those of you that were booking the Seychelles for the beginning of the next year or into 2022, we will still be going there and doing that. But by hands down, she's our little gem. And I love to hear people that don't work for the company say how spectacular she is, because those of you guys out there listening to me, they go, oh, well, she works for the company. What else is she supposed to say? But literally, I was blown away myself, and I've been in this industry a long time. I'm in the triple digits with numbers of cruising. I've done private yachting. She is absolutely spectacular. So if you really want something away from the norm, this is the product to do. And we offer a lot of 7-day itineraries. We have a lot of amazing itineraries, especially through the Adriatic, that can be back-ended, do a back-to-back to a 14-day that are literally standalone itineraries as well. So definitely she's something to look at for those that are looking for the more unusual, off the beaten path. Next slide, Andy. And then of course, what I want to talk about last is the last new addition to our experience profile. So the Crystal Endeavor is being built in Germany in shipyards that our mother company Genting owns. So she was ahead of schedule prior to this nasty little virus that has cropped up. And sadly, because Germany shut down their shipyards, they shut down the country just like we've had to shut down our country and other places around the world. She has been delayed. So right now she's been delayed through the end of the year. And we're going through those reductions simply because now it's not an issue of whether she'll be complete. It's an issue of where the itineraries were scheduled for. So she was supposed to launch later this year out of Asia, going from Asia down into Australia, New Zealand, and then finishing in Antarctica. And it was a unique Antarctic itinerary because it was leaving from Hobart, going down to Antarctica, and then coming out of Tasmania, out of New Zealand, instead of the typical itineraries that would be out of South America, Ushuaia. So unfortunately, because we had to cancel the early half of the season, so no Asia, and unfortunately Australia has been in a shutdown with their own issues that they're dealing with COVID, it's up in the air as to whether we could continue in through the end of this year. So we now are repositioning and resetting everything to start for next year, and hopefully everything will go as scheduled. But the ship was very close to completion. 100 all suites, all verandas, all butler service, 2 helicopters, a submarine, heated floors, warming closets outside of each of the suites for the cold weather destinations. Your parka and your booties are warm and toasty for you every morning as you head out on your excursions. And as I mentioned about Antarctica, so we will be doing Antarctica for the end of 2021 and the beginning of 2022, but those will be out of the Ushuaia destination going into the Antarctic Peninsula. So we will have those, and included with that will be a pre-night out of South America. So again, let your LCC advisors help you. The other thing I want to mention when we talk about Luxury Cruise Connection and our partnership with them, they are also members of a industry consortia called Virtuoso. And we partner with Crystal, being luxury. Virtuoso is very much focused on a lot of luxury product. And we work very closely with Virtuoso. What is nice with your partners that are Virtuoso, such as Luxury Cruise Connection, is we've got something extra that they can offer you on literally almost every single sailing that Crystal puts out in the water, whether it's complimentary shore excursions, whether it is shipboard credits. So a lot of those offers are combinable with different promotions that we have as well. Now, like some of the promotions that Andy showed earlier that are very deep discounts, they do have limitations, but as you see, we've already thrown in some shipboard credits and things like that. But again, when you're out there booking, and I come from an agency background, so I was an agency advisor. My mom owned agencies back in the 80s when I was growing up, and I work for Crystal. Crystal pays my paycheck, but there is not a single reason to book Crystal direct and not use your travel advisor. We don't have different price points. We don't put we don't give you anything extra by doing direct. And frankly, you're going to miss out on extras, because I just mentioned that Virtuoso has extras that they give to their advising agencies that you are not going to get direct through Crystal Cruises. These extra shipboard credits, these customized, curated excursions that Virtuoso does, and they do it better than anybody out there in the industry. They do an amazing job. So literally, there's not a reason not to use your advisor. Your advisor is your advocate. They're going to be able to help you and assist you with what is the best trip for you. They're also going to be your advisor and advocate through things that happen unexpectedly, like what's happening now. I could tell you that Carlos and Steven and different people over there at LCC, they're following up with Andy and I on a regular basis to follow up on refunds. How are those things being processed? What's the best offer out there? Is it better for you guys to take an FCC? What's the FCPs mean? How do all those work? And when we get to that Q&A, we can definitely talk a little bit more about those. But frankly, you should be using an advisor. And that comes from somebody who now works for the companies. So just, putting that out there. And here's another itinerary of the Falkland Islands, South Georgia, and Antarctica. So Andy's keeping me on target. You see how he keeps pushing me along? And he's like, oh gosh, talking. He said he's going to play opera music. So Andy, I'm going to step back for a moment. I'm going to let you talk about.
I was getting ready to have the saxophonist.
Yeah, but these are great new specials. And for those of you out there that are concerned about what's going to happen going forward with new bookings. These are some of the ways we call it, the stimulus program for you guys, confidence program, and ways that you guys can book in confidence and know that you're money on the front end. So Andy, talk to them about some of the promotions.
Yeah, so I just want to go over a few things here before we open up for a Q&A. So the first one is this one. So you saw the ocean promotion that we had with the Caribbean. You saw the river promotion. But, if you want to take other experiences like yacht, like the expedition, or maybe you want to take the ocean and river, but not on those dates, we do have a reduced deposit offer. Normally ask for 25%, but now we're doing 15%. We're also we're waiving any admin fees. So we want to give you confidence that when you book here with us, there isn't any obstacles in your way. And kind of echoing what Monique says, your advisor at LCC, they have that direct line to us. They have that back phone. They will find us, either her and I, say, hey, can you help
us?
They find us. I mean, I try to hide from Carlos, and Carlos finds me. I don't know how he does it, but he does. So another thing that I definitely saw, skimming around the questions, folks are saying, what if with the ocean, especially with the oceans that we have in the Caribbean, what if something happens and you change itineraries, or what assurances can you give me that I can get a full refund, or I can change my mind or something like that? But we have the Crystal Voyage Assurance Program. Basically, in a nutshell, is if we change the itinerary, and that's about 30%, so the majority of the itinerary, we do give you a full refund within the 7 days once we notify you. Again, I don't want to steal the thunder out of the LCC advisor. So, and hopefully we don't have to use this, but it is something there for you to know that if you have an existing booking with us, or if you make a new booking and something does happen, between now and let's say, between November and let's say April of next year, you have that peace of mind that, if we change itineraries because of the world situation, you can get your full money back. And then the last thing of all, like I said, and Monique echoed it, I'm going to echo it again. We cannot emphasize it enough. We give Luxury Cruise Connections the deals. We give them exclusive offers like this one. And for you attending today, for you listening to us, we're going to give you certain dollars off depending on what experiences you take. So for example, for Ocean, we're going to give you $500 off per person. River, $300 off per person. You have the yacht, $200 per person, and the expedition at $500 per person. Now, I know what you're asking. Are these deals combinable with some offers that you mentioned? Well, some are not. So definitely, I would suggest that you talk to your LCC advisor to see what's the compatibility and exactly what itineraries that you like. Definitely, if you need brochures or anything like that, they will talk to me, and I can definitely send them off here to you. So with that being said, I'm going to toss it back to Monique because we want to talk about that elephant in the room. And I just saw somebody ask this question. So Monique, I'm going to toss it back to you. Let them know what's going on with Crystal today.
Wait, you're muted.
Muted.
Monique. I want to.
Okay, sorry about that. So I don't know what elephant we're talking about, but seriously, let's talk about the protocols, and then I have one more slide I want to discuss with you guys, and then we'll go into opening up questions and answers. So this is the burning question, what are our cruising protocols? And I think that for those of you that have attended some of these sessions already with LLC, or you read in the papers, or are looking in brochures or whatever, the protocol is interesting because there is no specific protocol that has been decided upon by the governing bodies, by any of the industry organizations. It really is governed by CDC, but that's only in waters that has US jurisdiction. So different countries have different protocols as well. So right now, all of the cruise lines are looking at how do they incorporate the protocols that are being issued by the governments and whose waters that they're going to be sailing, and how do they incorporate that with their product. But let's talk about a few of the things that we know are kind of front and center. Are we going to have to wear masks? What is the protocol before you get on board? What do you have in place already? Or do you have doctors on board? Things like that. So you've heard me mention throughout the presentation the big thing about social distancing and personal space, right? So we've already kind of addressed that. So I'm not going to beat the horse dead, resurrect it, and beat it again. The big thing though is we are in a very good position to pivot as necessary when all the guidelines are decided upon between our industry executives and leaders and the government organizations. The CDC really still has to accept what the plans are that we are putting forth. So social distancing has not really been an issue with our ships to start with, and we don't see it to be an issue even if we have to further reduce our capacity. If you've been on our ships, you've been on any cruise ships, quite frankly, as you go into dining venues, we always have our hand sanitizers. When you get on the ship, we have our hand sanitation. You get off the ship, we have our hand sanitation. That is not something that has changed either. What we are looking at in different ways, and we do have our doctors, our ships have full medical facilities on board, whether we're going to have to add things or take things away. Those are all things that are being discussed, and it's not something that we can specifically discuss in detail because those have not been finalized as to what the protocols will be. But as far as whether, you're going to have nightly turn down service, or are we going to go back to having set dining times because we can't do open dining? Those are all things that are being worked through. Now, mind you, we have our first ship that is supposed to sail on October 1st. That is what we're selling. That is what we've been promoting. And that has every implementation with shore excursion and everything being worked on. So obviously these are all having to align with protocol. We already do questionnaires on, have you had a fever? Do you have health? We're talking about temperature checks. So there's a lot of things going on out there. I wish I could give you more specific information, but I think all of the cruise lines wish that they could do the same. And it really is being dictated by the jurisdiction of the waters that we're currently going to be traveling in. So right now our focus is with the CDC's protocols, and then we will also then expand into Europe. Europe has already set some protocols in place for ships that are sailing out of their waters, which has been very helpful. That came out a couple weeks ago. And obviously the CDC is looking at that very closely. And we're trying to merge everything in so that we can find this happy working environment that everyone feels comfortable, and that there's a game plan in place as we go forward as well. So, we could take additional questions on that as we go into the Q&A, but right now, what we know is what we know. A lot of our protocols are already in place, and if we have to implement additional, we will. We've already implemented where airflow into the rooms, et cetera, it's not recirculated, so we have the fresh airflow and how they're handling that as well. So more to come, and we've been advised by our executives at our company that we will soon have more posted to our consumer website. So your advisors are there to advise you on your trips. They could advise you on where to go on our website, but we do have an advisory. When you go to our website, at the very top portion of the screen, front and center, you can click there, and that is where we will update our protocol as we go forward as well. And then the next slide, Andy. So I wanted to finish our little presentation on a positive note, though. I wanted the elephant in the room to come out, but I did want to finish on a positive note. When all of this happened and we had to stop the cruises from going, we had guests that were kicking and screaming off the World Cruise. They didn't want to get off, and we made them get off in Perth because we couldn't get them any further, right? But we came up with something called Crystal at Home. And this has been a way for our past guests to stay engaged with the brand that they so sorely miss and can't wait to go back to. And for those of you that are joining us this evening, this is a really great opportunity to kind of dive in what the essence of Crystal is. And each day of the week, we do something special. And it was only supposed to happen for a month. And it's been so popular that we've just gotten word that it's going to continue on further into this month as well. So every week, you can go to our website and find this information. But on Mondays, we do master classes. And it is like we're known for our lectures on board on our sea days, especially on ocean. We have all these amazing guests that we bring on board that talk about specialties of the areas that we're traveling or their areas of expertise. So on Mondays, we do these masterclass podcasts that you guys can take in, and there's a whole host of information. And when you go to the site, you also have what we've done in the past, so you can go back and look at past weeks. On Tuesdays, we do pantry prep. I love food. Food is one of my favorite things. Andy will vouch. Everything focuses back to food with me. So on Sundays, we actually have a cooking class with our chef, John Ashton. So on Tuesdays, we do pantry prep. We tell you what we're going to be making on Sunday and let you know what you need to have available in your pantry so you have time throughout the week to go out and do your shopping. On Wednesdays, we do Wanderlust Wednesdays. Initially, we were doing Wellness Wednesdays where we had yoga classes and meditation classes. And now, because we're launching these great new itineraries and we're really starting to look forward focused on where people are hungering to go again. They got all this pent up demand to travel. They're just waiting to be let loose to do it. So we do Wanderlust Wednesdays. We've been having a lot of focus on the Caribbean because we're obviously wanting to highlight our new Caribbean itineraries. On Thursdays, we do Thirsty Thursdays. I guess that kind of goes with food. So it's one of my favorite days of the week as well. And we do different types of cocktail concoctions, alcoholic, non-alcoholic. And you have from our bartenders on board, they make their favorite drinks and different samplings. We had rum samplings and different types of rum of recent. Friday nights are Friday nights at the Galaxy. Galaxy is where we do our big show productions on board our ocean ships. Absolutely amazing. So we do every Friday something different, whether it is a variety show, or we have our famous opera singers, or we have our dancers on board. We're going to be having a special one coming up later this month, July 24th, I believe it is, so that we can have our big 30th anniversary celebration. Sail Away Saturdays is a very popular night for our past guests, because it gives them the opportunity to go to #CrystalFamily and post their past photos of other cruises that they've done with Crystal, or videos that they've done, so that you have your Sail Away Saturdays. And then Sunday, John Ashton, we come into his kitchen, and he's very brave. He's trying to teach us all how to make amazing dishes, and he's quite entertaining as well. So this is just a great way, folks, for you that haven't been on us to see what we're all about. It's just a little taste each day of who Crystal is. And for those of you that are jonesing for a new Crystal cruise, it just brings you one step closer to home with your onboard family. And we just have found that this has just been an amazing thing to do. So thank you guys for your time. And Denise, Carlos, anything that you guys want to say? Open it up for questions, and we'll take the firing squad.
Yeah, we have. Thank you for that. That some of the questions that we normally get on our Zoom calls were already answered by you, by bringing up that elephant in the room so quickly. A lot of people want to know about the health procedures and what's going to happen. And I want to point out something that you said. I want to highlight something that you said that usually is a question for most of our audience, which is, okay, so let's say I do go on this cruise, and let's say something happens throughout the itinerary, and I have to modify, and the itinerary has to be modified. What's going to happen with my money? What's going to happen with the experience that I signed up for? So you answered that question very quickly by saying, if the itinerary is modified more than 30%, people get their money back. And I think that's a great testament to Crystal's commitment to just delivering an amazing experience, right? And I think that it is why they are so successful at delivering happiness and delivering such great experience to their clients, because whenever something happens that it's out of their control, that and they're not able to deliver exactly what they promised, and they just try to make it right for clients. And I want to address I want to start and open up kind of the question session with something that must be in everybody's mind. Everybody, you had an opportunity to talk about Crystal, and you explained everything that the brand Crystal stands for. But one key question that is on everybody's mind is, okay, so during this time of uncertainty, how do we know Crystal is a solid company? Who's supporting Crystal? Where is this brand coming from? Who's the big player behind it? You mentioned Genting a second ago, but I want you to elaborate a little bit more.
And thank you for the opportunity to do that. So a question that we get asked very often is, we see, and I'm very transparent. You hear about Carnival Corp in the news, you hear about Norwegian Cruise Line in the news, you hear about Royal Caribbean in the news. Those are the big threes in the industry, because they're also publicly held companies. They're on the stock market, in their company, and they're a privately held company. So a part of that is we are private, so there are certain things that we don't disclose publicly. However, anybody, public knowledge, you could go to any internet browser and pull up Genting Hong Kong and Genting subsidiaries, and we literally post our profit statements and things like that online. I mean, you could see these things. Genting has their tentacles in a lot of different businesses. Unlike where the companies I just mentioned are mostly strictly, for the most part, in tourism, or they're in cruising in general, Genting has their tentacles in different areas. They've got different subdivisions. They've got their businesses in resorts and casinos and palm oil factories. They own the shipyards I mentioned in Germany that we build our ships in. So there is a lot of support behind us as a brand. Don't mistake the fact that we are not in the publications or in news reports, or on the focused on the news, that we don't have that support behind us. It is a different dynamic, so to speak. But our mother company has shown us a lot of support. They are very bullish on the cruise product. They purchased the cruise division for us, for Crystal, 5 years ago. And furthermore, they own 2 other cruise lines that operate in Asia now, which is Dream and World Vacations Cruises. So even though that may not be a familiar name to our US client base, they've been operating other cruise ships for a very long time as well. So the financial stability, I can only speak to what I know. I kind of laugh when somebody says, well, what do you think about Crystal? And I said, gosh, I hope to God I would not be crazy to be working this hard if I thought that, you know, we were going to be closing our doors tomorrow. What we've seen is a lot of support from our parent company. And we continue to strive forward in moving the company forward. And we've been very bullish on doing that.
And so that's going to take me to a question that Linda asked early in the call, and I want to bring it up because I know Monique, I know that you and I were involved in handling a little bit of research about
Sure.
this guest, Linda Chapman. So she's saying, my husband and I would like to book another cruise, but we're concerned about the 90-day mark for refunds. So do you want to just quickly
Sure.
let everybody know what's going on with the refunds for those that are waiting for refunds? If you previously had booked a Crystal Cruise, I'll bring this up real quick. So for those that booked previously a Crystal Cruise, you and you requested a refund of an FCC, the expectation that Crystal had set for all of its guests was basically a 90-day refund. With that said, and with the unexpected amount of volume that happened, obviously you all know about this. We've had that question kind of pop up a couple of times. They want to know where the refund is. So, what can you say about that, Monique?
Sure. So, for those of you that are not involved with a canceled Crystal Cruise, when we had to be forced to cancel these cruises as it just continued to be a domino effect, guests were offered either full FCP, a full future cruise payment for the value that they paid for their cruise, plus an additional 25% additional future cruise credit, or they could opt for just the full straight up refund. So for right now, we're talking about the guests that asked for the full straight up refund. So when you look at this, and I remember this very clearly, that the COVID bug started raising its head the very last week of January, beginning of February. So it had not come to this point because nobody really knew what it was. There was some rumors out of Asia that there were some problems, etc. So as this continued, no companies could have assumed that this would have continued to go on as long as it has, or impacted the brands as strongly as it's impacted them. So when these timelines were put into effect, and I hope maybe somebody on the call was involved with in late March or early March being canceled and being told the refunds would take 2 weeks because that was our standard. It took 2 weeks to cancel. Then it was like, okay, well, maybe it's going to take 4 weeks to cancel because we have some extra, backup. It's been a snowball effect. Our CEO literally just put out a letter. We've acknowledged that we are not meeting that 90-day mark on all bookings. We have some bookings that are, and we have some bookings that have extended past that. There's not, beyond telling you that it's an overwhelming amount that has come in. We've had more people take refunds than were expected to take refunds. And we've had more cancellations than we've expected that we would have to have canceled. Keeping in mind that we've now also, had to, cancel some of the river ships. We've had to cancel some of the yacht. The expedition was canceled because of the closed shipyards. So simply, we've also taken staff reduction to conserve funds. And that's not unique to us. Other cruise lines, the whole industry has had to furlough and lay off people. So it's not a good excuse for you guys. And I have these calls all day long with, people like Carlos and his company, with other advisors and with consumers. It's not a good excuse, but these are the excuses. And I can tell you that the accounting division, we speak with them daily, and they are working through these refunds as quickly as possible.
I do want to say something about that.
Mm-hmm.
The experience that I've had so far is every single one of our guests that were due refunds got the refunds.
Correct.
And those that are I understand that there was a little bit of a delay at one point, and let's call it a technical glitch. And at one point, there's some of those refunds that have gone past the 90 days. The one thing that I can say, and you know, I'll attest to this, is the moment I bring it up to Andy and Monique, they act like this immediately, and then within days, it's done. So if there's anybody that you know, that is in a situation such as this one, you know, we'll obviously handle it. And our relationship is, as Monique was saying, is incredible. So, you know, Monique and Andy and the entire Crystal team will go above and beyond to make sure our clients are happy, and we'll deal with them on a case by case basis. But the one thing that I can attest is they've been extremely diligent and catching whatever is off the normal time frame, and they've addressed it immediately. So I do want to attest to that, and thank you for allowing us to bring up and
yeah, and one thing I'd like to say, Carlos, is any of you out there that do have, I mean, because I saw like somebody that posted saying that they want to book another Crystal cruise, but they're concerned they haven't received their refunds. You know, the option also, if you are looking to book another Crystal cruise, is, and you have a refund sitting in pending, meaning that you haven't received your refund yet, it is something that you can also work with your advisor. We've had a lot of guests that were very bullish on booking into next year, and they were waiting on their refunds. And obviously, if you book next year, there's deposits that are due for that. We were able to roll those refunds over into their new booking for 2021.
That's a good
So
idea.
that is another option as well. And I get it. If you guys are just concerned and, you know, I'm giving lip service or whatever, and you guys are concerned about, you know, viability of the company and you want money in hand, we will continue to work with Carlos and his team at LCC. I can tell you, though, that I believe in setting expectations. I think the worst thing is to overpromise and underdeliver.
Yeah.
And the escalations, I mean, what I'm always concerned about is something fell through the cracks in the system. So something wasn't set to be done at a certain time. And with the feverishness of cancellations, nobody is without, you know, there's always mistakes that happen. But if something has been entered properly, everything, and I think, Linda, when we looked at yours, there was nothing that was necessarily out of whack. So it is just a fact that we are behind in getting those refunds processed. The other thing I do want to mention also is the fact that credit card companies are having the same issues. And I say that only because I deal with these things every day. And I will use an example that came up where I had a client, an agent had two guests booked in two different bookings on the same voyage. They were traveling together and they canceled. And we processed both of their credit card refunds at the same time, still around that 90-day mark, folks. Nothing, you know, unusual happened. It wasn't a 10-day turnaround. But what happened is one of the bookings was with one credit card company and the other booking was with another credit card company. And the other credit card company literally took over 2 weeks longer to get that processed than the card company that the other person had. So it's not to push blame, but there's a lot of moving parts here. So even when we're processing, we've got people working from home. Our office is in Miami. Everyone is on stay-at-home orders. I know that they just closed stuff down in Miami again. And we literally had to have check printers moved into people's homes so that we can process these checks as well.
Yeah.
They're not great excuses, but they are the honest excuses from the bottom of my heart of what has been happening. But I think the most important thing to note is that the refunds are coming through. They are happening, unfortunately, longer than what we were hoping for and anticipating.
Cedra has a question. If Crystal does cancel their November sailings because countries won't allow Americans into their countries, how much notice will be given to guests before sailing?
Yeah, I saw that pop up. That's a really great question. And there is not a definitive answer. If you look at the history of when we've been canceling our voyages up to this point, there were situations where we were canceling literally, 2 weeks before voyage, and we were, being very fair in what was given, either the full refunds or we were given refunds with additional FCCs for the inconvenience and covering different costs and charges. In other cases where we know that there are challenges and problems, like in the case of the yacht, we've been bullish and we've canceled voyages much further out. So right now we have every intent of continuing to operate based on what we're getting from the countries at the moment, these voyages going into October, November, and December. But as the situation changes, and a lot of these countries are looking at things every couple of weeks, and our operations team is in communications with these countries, and they're working closely with that. And as we have to cancel voyages, if those things come up, we look at that inconvenience that has been caused. Are we giving you a couple months notice? Are we giving you 3 months notice? Are we giving you 2 weeks notice? And we're putting forth, as you've seen in different cancellations earlier on in this, offers varied depending upon the inconvenience of the guest.
So David Newland, one of our loyal guests at Luxury Cruise Connections, asked a very important question.
Sure.
I haven't been on Crystal Cruises yet. For Crystal Ocean, can you tell us what's not included? Fares seem incredible for a 6-star experience. I heard tours are not included, airport transfers, first night hotel, etc. What is included and what is not included on a Crystal Ocean experience?
Want to take that one?
Absolutely. I was
All
just gonna
right.
say, I need a breather.
All right, so what's included on a Crystal Ocean cruise? So alcoholic beverages are included. Non-alcoholic beverages are included. Wi-Fi service is included. Specialty dining is included as well. Obviously, like any other standard cruise line, food's included. 24-hour room service are included. What's not included?
Prepaid gratuities are included.
I'm sorry, yeah, good question. Probably good thing. Prepaid gratuities, sorry. Prepaid gratuities is included, which is big. What's not included? What's not included is excursions. And I know folks that why isn't excursions included? To be honest with you, most of our guests that travel on Crystal Ocean, they like to do their own itineraries, or what they like to do, and I've seen this very a lot of times, is that they get with their travel agent, and they like to customize their excursion. So we've seen this time and time again, and that's one of the reasons why we don't include excursions on the ocean. What's also not included is airfare, nor transfers. However, you can add on the air, and once you include the air, transfers would be included. Automatically
included. I want to add one quick thing to that. So for those that know what Virtuoso is, Luxury Cruise Connections is one of the fastest growing Virtuoso travel agencies. And Virtuoso, some of you might know, it's the largest luxury travel consortia in the world. And what that does is it allows us to get together with many other luxury travel agencies around the world and create very special negotiations and relationships with cruise lines, such as Crystal. Crystal is one of the leading Virtuoso cruise lines as well, award-winning Virtuoso cruise line. And because of that very special relationship, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Monique and Andy, but I think Crystal is the one cruise line that has the most amount of Virtuoso sailings.
We do.
Among all the different cruise lines. And what that means is that virtually every, and I know there's a couple of exceptions, but virtually every Crystal sailing is going to include some complimentary onboard credit, or it's going to be a hosted sailing that includes a very special, unique, exclusive shore excursion only available to Virtuoso agencies. And so what's very unique about the relationship with Virtuoso and Crystal and Luxury Cruise Connections is because of that relationship, our guests are going to get additional onboard credit that otherwise wouldn't have gotten, which can then in turn be used for shore excursions, right?
Correct.
Yep.
And so that, I think that's very, very important to highlight. And
Carlos?
Yeah.
One of our guests, Lorna, who has the beautiful beach behind her with the palm tree, she's asking the question. Hi, Lorna. She's asking the question, if she goes to Europe, Monique and Andy, if they go for a river cruise, and on the way to Europe, someone gets a temperature, will they be refused boarding for the river cruise?
That would be on, I think, any product going forward. And if you recall, Stephen and Lorna, all cruise lines, when you go check in at a pier, they have that questionnaire that you have to fill out. I mean, so there's already been some type of that protocol. But of course, in today's day and age, if people are showing up with fevers, they there's going to be an issue. We can't be boarding people. I don't think any product is going to be able to be boarding people that have a fever and, you know, in this current environment. So I think when you're taking out specific examples like that and saying, okay, well, what do you do? It's going to depend on each situation. Are we in this day and age going to let somebody who has a fever board one of our ships? No. I mean, but that's going to be any product out there. And, you know, probably the airlines, if they're going to be following that same type of protocol when they open back up those borders, you know, it's all of the organizations in this industry that have to work together and have to come to some sort of agreement amongst themselves, because it's not just cruise lines, it's not just hotels, it's not just airlines.
Yeah.
They're all in the same business together, and we all work with different components of these different areas of the industry. And that's why it's so hard for specific protocols to be coming out right now, because there's so many moving parts and so many pieces of the puzzle.
Monique, if I could just add to that, it's almost in a sense like 9/11. After 9/11, we had the TSAs and all that. So
Right.
there definitely will be more watching of things like that, without a doubt.
Of course.
Monique, and so for to the best of your knowledge, what would happen with that guest if they're denied boarding? You know, when they're, let's say, in Europe, well, first of all, I would say on behalf of Luxury Cruise Connections, you know, we will do whatever we need to do, of course, to get, you know, to get that client back home as soon as possible and make sure we provide for the proper arrangements. Is there anything that Crystal has considered that you guys are going to do regarding that, by any chance?
Nothing that has filtered down to the frontline level, because again, if we're going to put out something for protocol, especially if we're going to put it in print and have it in writing, it has to be something that is gotten the stamp of approval, not just from our executives and our CEO and our owners, but most importantly, it has to have the stamp of approval from the governments.
Yeah.
CDC's got to put the stamp of approval on. We could ask and say we want to do whatever, but if they're not in agreement, then talking hypothetically, you know, so at the end of the day, that's what we have to wait for. And that's what everybody's working toward, is presenting to the CDC these scenarios, these exact scenarios, folks, because they're realistic scenarios that can happen. And then we have to put forth what we feel would be the best way to manage it. And then we have to have the agreement. And if it's happening in Europe, Lorna, we've got a person flying from New York to Italy or wherever, let's say they're going into Germany. It's not just what the CDC wants, but now you've got another government involved now, right? It's what the German government's going to put into place. So there's a lot of
moving pieces.
Things
Well,
that
you know,
need to be considered.
the one thing that I know for sure is that Crystal is going to get it right and is going to accommodate for all these special needs of all these different countries to make sure that the experience is just impeccable.
I'll take it one step further. I think the industry is going to get it right. I mean, I think that Crystal will definitely excel in what we do, but I think that the whole industry, we have to get it right. And I think that all of us are wanting to get it right, and there will be that consistency, because, you know, if one fails, we're all going to fail. And I think we all know that. You know, so I definitely think that that's why everything is being taken with caution. It's not being taken to avoid conversation, but, you know, again, you put things out there that are not correct, and all of a sudden they take on a life of their own, and there's a lot of moving parts and things ever changing. But I do want to get back to the question that started this, and Andy was talking about what was included on Ocean. And let's talk, Andy, about what River, Yacht, and Expedition include, because that's where you get some of the extras, including those transfers and the shore act. So I'll let you launch into that.
So the rest, honestly, it includes everything that I just explained in Ocean, plus it does include excursions. Like I said about River, they include butler service. Yacht and Expedition also include butler service. So those with Yacht, for example, all includes the shore excursion, also the water toys. So if you like kayaking, jet skiing, something like that, definitely we have that. Expedition also include like the parkas, the boots that Monique was talking about. So we include a lot more in river, yacht, and expedition.
And the delicious little chocolates that are in the yacht. Every stateroom, they get these beautiful little chocolates, and you eat them, and then when your butler comes in, it's like they magically reappear. Did I mention I like the food aspect of life? And every night after you have your beautiful Michelin-inspired dinner with the open kitchen with the chef, and the food is so beautiful that comes out on the yacht, the river. People were walking around taking photos before everyone ate their food because it was just gorgeous. And then you get down to your room and you say, oh my gosh, I cannot eat another bite. And they've got fresh made chocolate dip marshmallows and little miniature red velvet cupcakes and petit fours. Then you continue to eat. You don't know how you do it, but you continue to do it. So don't forget that. That's included too, Andy.
That is true. Carlos, let's
Getting
take
me
we have
hungry.
three more questions, and then let's wrap it up for the night. So we take the 3 last questions.
Yeah. Well, okay. I have one question that I want to bring up, which is from John. John is asking, and this might be a little bit of a hard question to answer in a short period of time, but let's see. What's the main difference between an Oceania and a Regent?
Monique, you want me to take that one?
Absolutely, Andy. You take that one.
The reasons why is actually I came from the Oceania world. I was with Oceania prior to joining Crystal. So I will tell you, John, and everyone that, each individual cruise lines have their own niche. So every single cruise line, they are great. They have their own thing. But the main difference with Crystal and the brand of Oceania and Regent, number one is we just talked about the inclusions. Particularly me, what I found very different. Now, granted, I'll be honest with you, I've not been on a ship before. I've been Oceania Regent ship, I've been a Crystal ship, but I know the brand. And I've actually studied the brand before I took this job. And now here I really get to see what's behind the curtain. So one of the things that really jumped out of the page for me was entertainment. Crystal has the very best entertainment, and they make it a point to really fill their entertainment. So you will not just do a couple of things during the night. You have choices. When I saw that Crystal had, Broadway shows, and I see the Galaxy Night that we host every Friday at Crystal at Home, I was floored. When I saw that they had a movie theater, that they have a dance floor, like a little dance club in the ocean, or they have the cabaret style entertainment, it was incredible. Space also called my attention, which is great nowadays. The space around the public areas, the stateroom space. I know that some cruise lines have the foodie aspect, but I saw Crystal has that foodie aspect. When I saw Churrascaria, when I saw Umiuma from Chef Noble, I was also I was salivating seeing the menu. When I see, and I've been in every single cruise line. I've worked for the contemporaries, I've worked for the premiums, and now upper premium luxury. And I see that one of the things, the main thing that I definitely want to point out that's different from Crystal and Regent Oceania are the choices. And that's one of the brand pillars that we talked about. And what I mean by choices, not the restaurant that you go to, not the stateroom you pick from, is that maybe this year I'm going on an ocean cruise, and next year I'm going on a river cruise, and maybe the other year I do an expedition cruise, and I still have that same brand that I know what I'm going to expect. So I know what type of service, I know what type of culinary, I know what type of excursions. That on its own really separates us from our competition.
I wanna point something out real quick. I think the way I explain it very quickly to most of our clients is, you can compare Crystal with Oceania because these are two different. One we consider upper premium. Oceania, it's a great upper premium cruise line.
If I can find how to turn it off. Oh, there it goes.
There you
All
go.
right.
Laurita, I think you need to mute yourself. Okay, there you go. Sorry. All right. So the way I would put it is you have upper premium, which is Oceania, which is a great upper premium cruise line, but then you have the luxury level of the cruise line industry where Regent and Crystal play, right? Then I'm going to say the main difference is, well, first of all, we must highlight the fact that Crystal has won endless amount of awards for their food and culinary aspect, right? I mean, I'm not saying that Regent's food is bad. Regent's food is great, but we must recognize Crystal's awards in the culinary aspect, and I think that's important. But then I guess the most important part, and how I like to explain it, is Crystal is what we consider kind of the larger ship experience in a luxury line. It is among the four luxury brands out there. I'm going to say is the one that offers the more larger ship type of amenities, like those shows that Andy's talking about, like several dining venues and so many other amenities that you usually find in larger ships that you normally don't find in smaller ships. And so Crystal brings that multi amenity experience that larger ships have into the luxury arena. And that's, in my opinion, kind of the main important thing to highlight about the ocean experience of Crystal.
And I agree completely with you, Carlos. And I think that not just for your advisors, but for the guests that are on the call that maybe have not sailed on luxury before, there's a lot of luxury product, but sometimes it gets mixed up that luxury means small ship. And small ship does not necessarily mean luxury and vice versa. I think that when you've got guests that love a cruising experience and you ask them, what do I love about cruising? They love what we just talked about, the entertainment choices, the dining choices. They want to go to the casino, see a movie, shopping, whatever. Some of the smaller ship experiences, like I mentioned the yacht, she's small. She's not a typical cruise experience. But those that are looking for a cruise experience, but now they want to step up the experience itself to a luxury level, Crystal's going to hit on all of the things that made them love cruising to start with, but Crystal has elevated what the overall experience is on the service level, on the culinary level, on the entertainment level, but we still give the guests everything, the components that made them love cruising to start with. We're just elevating it to the next brand. And that's why these price points, especially on the Caribbean, are so amazing, because they're price points that are easily seen on premium, even contemporary product in some case that's not inclusive. It's giving them a chance, you guys, a chance to try what we keep talking about at a price point that is not unlike what you've already paid for something else prior.
Yeah, thank you. And I have a question from Stanislav. Stanislav, how you doing, my friend? Thank you for joining us today. You've joined us in a couple of previous calls, and it's a loyal LCC client now. Stanislav has a very important question. This Crystal I know Crystal obviously offers insurance that we can purchase together with the cruise. Does Crystal Insurance, will Crystal Insurance now allow coverage for COVID reasons? What do you know about that?
Nothing has, we use Allianz, which is one of the biggest worldwide insurance carriers. Allianz has been very generous to our guests during this time. They've actually allowed full refunds of policies, or allowing a guest to roll over for over 770 days in the future to a new travel product. And it could be Crystal, even though you purchase the policy through Crystal. Can you hear me?
Real quick, the question more specifically is, a lot of the insurance companies won't cover somebody if they get sick with COVID during a trip. And so
correct. And Allianz hasn't told us whether they're going to cover for COVID. Right now, the trend is that they're not covering for COVID. I mean, that's what most of the companies are saying, that they're not covering for COVID. We have not gotten anything new at the moment.
I wanna highlight something, because I know Stanislav, this is an important matter for you, and you brought it up before. I will say that I expect new information to pop up and things to change regarding that very soon. I think that governments are going to regulate a lot of that moving forward. I've heard a lot of talk about insurance companies being forced to cover COVID and stuff like this. So most of the insurance policies that you would see with any cruise line are underwritten by one of these big insurance companies, whether it is
correct.
TripMate or Allianz or any of those. So I think the answer is going to be pretty consistent across the board until new information pops up about it.
Well, can I ask a question? Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, no, because it's the major problem now, I believe, because it's pandemic is still it's in full swing, so nobody gonna get responsibility
I would
like
agree.
to insure someone, and in the case of something happen on a cruise ship, especially, you know, I believe it's for some time gonna be, because I talked for these few already providers like, you know, Blue Cross and also Alliance, and for my bank as well. So, and they said they don't see any changes in policy for some time. But my question is, I don't know why the cruise lines, it's because they're gonna cover everything health-wise except COVID. So I don't know why cruise lines may become this idea. It's gonna be kind of all cruise lines come together, have their own, like not insurance companies, but some kind of insurance policy specifically for COVID to cover passengers only for this instance. So I don't know, like if it's going to be Royal Caribbean, Crystal, Norwegian, everyone come together, have some kind of fun. In the case something happen on any ship, a situation like a COVID situation, so they're going to cover this case of passengers there.
Yeah.
Because this is the biggest problem. Even for me, I'm healthy, right? It's only like 53 years old. So, but for me, I would think twice to go on a cruise ship just because of exactly what this uncertainty. In the case something happened, and I believe Crystal gonna do my favorite cruise line, in fact, food-wise, you're the best guys, absolutely. I can tell. I've been with everyone,
And this is
with all cruise lines, and the best. But I believe you're gonna do all protocols and everything. However, this is only one thing for me. I think it twice. If somebody gonna provide me or give me at least, maybe you guys gonna develop this kind of special relationship with companies. Let's say if somebody healthy like me, they're gonna maybe give its insurance who is certain age, like a, you know, or age group at least.
and this is coming from somebody that has a couple of cruises already booked for the future, right?
Well, not this Crystal yet. Actually, I would like to take this cruise. I was thinking about. I'm pretty much thinking already for like 3 weeks. I think 4 weeks. You have these cruises in October, November, and I was thinking about to take this cruise, like one of them. I don't know which one. Basically, the kind of, you know, more or less similar in Caribbean, which is I believe it's going to be probably going to be on, because it's pretty much like it's nearby, and because I had cruise book in November with Oceania, but it's Mediterranean. I don't believe it's going to happen. I think I believe more that you're going to do it in probably October, November. I'm pretty much sure about this. However, it's my only thing is question if it's somehow going to have some information being in the future about this health insurance, only for COVID, because anything else, I can break my leg.
Right, Stanislav, I think that the situation is the cruise lines are really not in control of that. We're not insurance companies. We're not insurance agents, unfortunately. So at the end of the day, I think to Carlos's point, that probably something, you know, because they are regulated by the government, you know, there's different things that are involved that something will have to give. But right now, there's nothing that's in place. And that's not, you know, from one cruise line to the other. We're deemed by what the insurance companies offer. And that's just, this is a whole new day and age. Think about this.
Yeah.
This just happened 5 months ago. So let's take one more question and then we'll let everybody go for the evening.
Yeah, for sure. And I just want to say something real quick to kind of round up Stanislav's concern. I think that what we're going to see very soon is we're going to see cruise lines coming out with all these protocols, right? And these protocols are going to allow all of us to feel comfortable, not only with what's going to happen to prevent COVID from happening, but what's actually going to happen if somebody contracts COVID, right? And I think that once that comes out, it's going to shed a lot more light in terms of what the cruise lines are going to do and how are they going to react to a situation such as that. And I have a feeling that that's going to help answer your question when that happens. And I think that that's going to happen within the next few months. It's certainly going to happen way before October. It has to happen before October. And you know, based on my experience, I think that the cruise lines understand extremely well what the concerns are and what's important for clients in order to feel safe when they travel abroad. And I have a feeling that they're going to get it right. So I'd say let's give this cruise lines a little bit of a couple of more months to kind of get back to us on that. But I promise you, as soon as we have a little bit more light on that, I'll personally give you a call and chat with you on that.
Carlos,
I want to hold on. Let me just use this opportunity that we're, you know, as we're talking about that and to give people more reassurance on this. Christopher has a question, and he says, if I need to be self-quarantined, I don't know, I can book my trip to the Caribbean, but if I touch Florida, my job is going to ask me to self-quarantine for 14 days. I want to know what flexibility do I have to cancel. I want to answer that one real quick, Christopher. Crystal is offering a very flexible cancellation policy right now, so that you have that peace of mind that you can book. And if, correct me if I'm wrong, it's 48 hours prior, right, Monique?
It's 7 days prior.
I'm sorry, 7 days prior. 7 days prior,
days prior.
you can literally decide whether or not, obviously, if your job still has you quarantined 14 days before you come back because you touched Florida, then of course, 7 days prior you would know, and then you can absolutely cancel your cruise and get 100% future cruise credit. No issues, no problem. So you have that flexibility, so you have that extra peace of mind, and you know that you can.
Right, that's our Crystal Confidence policy, and that is for our 2020 bookings. Correct.
Exactly. And
Carlos, what I was just going to bring up was on our Facebook page, Luxury Cruise Connections Facebook page, we talked about this yesterday, a health official, if you go to our Facebook page, mentioned how it's probably going to be safer to be on a cruise than in many of the cities in the United States.
Yeah, I want to invite everybody to join our Facebook group. And Denise, if you can post a link to our Facebook group in the chat. We post a lot of very up-to-date information on a daily basis. Not some of it is promotional, but most of it is informational. So definitely join us and interact with us through our Facebook group. Monica, I have a question privately that I got through the chat. The question is, if I book directly with Crystal and now I want to transfer it to Luxury Cruise Connections, can I do that? Do you want to answer that for me?
Yeah, there's some policies that are in place. If you book directly with Crystal, you're going to have a limited time period for it to be moved over to LLC. So, it's still a generous time period. It's usually 60 days, and it has to be before final payment is made. So if you're making these closer in cruises, you really want to, make sure you can move it over quickly. So there's not a problem in doing that. Again, not sure why you would, but you should just be going and using LLC anyways, because they could be your advocate as to what room you're getting, what category is best for you, what location, etc. But if you do, for whatever reason, you can't get through, or I don't know, whatever reason you have, and you call and you book direct, yeah, you can have it moved over, but within a limited period of time.
And I do want to be very respectful of everybody's time. I know that we did go over the hour by quite a bit, and but Monique, Andy, do you have to go, or can we open it up if somebody wants to ask one final question before we go?
I honestly,
Yeah,
Carlos, I would rather, we definitely can, follow up with questions on a one-off, but I'll be honest with you, my wife is pregnant, and it's close to dinner time. So if you know a pregnant woman and dinner, you definitely don't want to cross that. So I really have to go.
Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna let Monique and Andy go, okay? And I'm going to stay on, and so that if anybody has any more questions, I'll be happy to take them. If there's anything I don't know, or that if I feel more comfortable having Monique and Andy answer, I'll relay the question and get you the answers for sure. Okay?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So, and Monique and Andy, I want to thank you very much for your time. I know you guys are very, very busy with taking care of so many accounts and so many agencies across the United States. But thank you very much for the opportunity, and thank you very much for your time. This partnership is incredibly important for us. We do tons of business with Crystal Cruises, but the most important thing, like I said before, we wouldn't be where we are today if it wasn't because of the partnership and the support you guys give us in order to stay alive during these difficult times. So thank you very much for that. And
thank you for giving us the platform to talk to your people. We appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Thanks.
Have a good night.
I'll stay on. You guys see you, and then I'll stay on.
Thank you, guys.
Feel free to open up your mics if you have any more questions. I'll be happy to take him live. We can chat. If anybody wants to ask anything else. Stanislav, sorry, sorry that Monique didn't have a more direct.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I understand completely. I just wanna basically, I would just come make a comment maybe, and all this. What I like what you're doing, guys. It's very amazing thing actually. Kind of, you can have real feedback from people from industry. So, and I like it. So, but I think it's more like, I think it's it would be nice if they have some kind of more precise questions on current situation. Not because it's more like promotional thing. I know, like I can go online and basically look what kinds things are included, what not included.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know. They do it more promotion, but I just more worried because I'm just reading this like 49 pages of guidelines from European Union for the tourist industry, basically what's going to be. And it's, for example, they literally don't recommend people 65 and over, like, to travel.
You're 100% right, and I'll tell you something. My intention when we set up this Zoom calls is precisely that, and we have a little bit of a briefing before the call, and I really try to keep it as the least promotionally as possible, honestly, because I know that everybody wants to get to the questions, and I know that that's important. Sometimes, of course, I mean, these guys that we're bringing on board are very high executives at these cruise lines, and so they obviously use the opportunity to try to pitch as much as they can, and which is understandable, and we appreciate that too. But you're 100% right, and I'm trying to always push them as much as I can so we can get to the Q&A, and I'll be sure to be more mindful of that, even more so in the future ones. We are going to have another one very soon on celebrity, and we're going to have another one on Seabourn, and we're going to have another one on I think Celebrity and Seabourn right now are the two that we're going to be announcing very soon. And I take the feedback very well, and I agree with you. I think that we need to try to allow for even more time for Q&A, because that's the meat of the call.
The other option, maybe I can suggest, maybe we can ask some questions beforehand, because you said like maybe a couple of days ahead of time. Maybe with somehow we can ask, because I'm sure understand sometimes they didn't know the answer right away. We can ask question about specifically like about health issues, how they're gonna be with all this. Maybe you could just have a list of questions.
So let me give you
send it to you.
And
maybe you send it to them, forward to them, and they're gonna prepare it at least, and they're gonna know what people are gonna ask, etc.
And I'm going to suggest Denise, our marketing manager, she's here, so that we encourage our guests to send us some questions in advance. You're right. I do want to say something. A lot of the times, these cruising executives, they are, they have confidentiality agreements, and they have this non-disclose clauses that they cannot, sometimes share information beforehand. They are working on, like, I have this off the record conversations with the cruise line executives, and I know that they're working on a lot of stuff, and they're being told by their higher ups to just be very, very careful with what you say in public, because some of this information cannot leak as they're preparing to present all this information to the CDC. So we do know that they are, like, there's stuff I can tell you because of the stuff that I know, and I'm not bound by those clauses. So I can share with you that they are working on finalizing those those little details on what they're going to do if something happens on board, and what the exact procedures are going to be. MCLH and Royal Caribbean just announced yesterday this alliance that allows basically them to publicly now start presenting information to the CDC and getting some very specifics out there to the public on what the CDC want. A lot of this has to do with politics, right? And what's happening is, and what I'm hearing a lot is the CDC is using this opportunity because the cruise lines don't pay taxes in the US, right? And so they're using this opportunity to try to armstrong the cruise lines to kind of change the way they do business, and it's making them, or it's having them kind of move a lot slower in terms of getting back to the public with what they're going to do. The CDC has not been upfront with the cruise lines, but this is what we need you to do. And so they're basically playing that game where I want the cruise lines to tell me what you're going to do, and then we're going to tell you whether or not we approve it or not. And that's just slowing things down. And everybody believes that that's a political move. But that's the type of stuff that they cannot tell you in public. I can tell you that because that's.
No, I understand. I understand completely. But I think it's like going to be what, if you read maybe these guidelines from the European Union, it's crystal clear there, very straightforward. They pretty much very well, give you all ideas what's going to be in the future.
Exactly. And that happens
very,
very, very.
And I think CDC gonna just copycat. Probably some kind of adjustments gonna be made, obviously, but I don't think so. They're gonna spend like days and hours and months to do something elaborate like their own thing, but probably gonna be more or less they're gonna adopt like similar guidelines.
Yeah.
So, and it's they think, to me, the biggest probably problem for cruise industry gonna be when they open, they have to be 100% sure that for first maybe 2-3 months gonna be no dead people on the ships.
Yeah.
One thing, people get sick, and I totally understand. They're gonna be COVID, maybe 1, 2, 3 cases, and they're gonna be, if they're gonna show that they could contain it, and everybody survived, nothing happened, no outbreak, we had these procedures, people are gonna be confident. This is the most things supposed to be to do. I think they should probably start cruises with people who are really fit to sail.
Yeah.
Because if something happened bad, if one person gonna die, it's gonna be big problem for cruise industry right away. Supposed to be somebody, in like sick people, it's fine. I understand. There's everybody's like, and if you have Miami, have like thousands of people every day get sick.
Yeah.
No, but
Yeah. No, look, I want to take in anybody else's question. If anybody has, any other questions, I'll be happy to answer anything else that comes, that comes through your mind. Let's see, who do we have that I can call out on? Art, thank you for joining us, Art. I really appreciate you. You've been with us in a couple of these calls already. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. Michael, if you have any questions that you want me to answer, I'll be happy to. I want to make sure that I stay on for anybody. But if we got all the questions out of the way, I want you guys to know, as always, I'm going to put in my email address in the chat. Okay, anybody feel free to reach out to me at any time. I'll be happy to answer anybody's question, at any time. Crystal Airplanes, yes, Michael, sorry about that. Okay, so when Crystal first launched their Crystal Airplanes, they first came out with a 777, and they originally wanted to do kind of around the world on the plane, and they would take you on different countries throughout the world on 14 or 30-day itineraries, and then in different places of the world, and take you and do touring in different countries, and you sleep at Four Seasons hotels or Ritz-Carlton hotels or stuff like that. When they started, they were expecting a lot more people to jump on that, but the price point was crazy. They were charging over $150,000 per person for a 20-day tour, and it was just outrageous. So what they decided to do is, as they saw that they weren't able to keep that plane flying every single week of the year, they said to take it off schedule and charter it only for companies and or family events. They basically want to go from one place to another in absolute luxury. So, for example, one of the things they did is, not too long ago, they took a whole bunch of top producing virtuoso agencies from, Miami to London, was it? It wasn't. Yeah. How long ago was this? I'm gonna say 6 months ago. It was in November of last year, actually. And it's an amazing plane. It has 80-something business class configured seats. It has its own its own bar, its own dining area, full service. It's amazing, but they don't sell it for individuals on a ad hoc basis anymore. They only sell it on a charter basis for the entire plane. Same thing with their Bombardier. It's a much smaller plane. I think it holds up to 11 or 12 people, and they usually use it for people that want to charter it to basically get on one of their ships. So if you live in New York and want to take one of the ships out of Miami and don't want to fly commercial, then you can charter that plane from them as well, and they kind of keep it within the family. In my opinion, if you ask me, I think that the whole plane situation for Crystal was a little bit of a logistical mistake, because they deviated from what they do extremely well, which is cruising, but their planes do an incredible job, and those that have flown them just love them. So That's the story. That's the story in the plains. That's the story in the plains. Yeah, Art. Seabourn versus the other luxury lines. Huh. That's a good question. That's a good question. Let's see. I want to test one of my advisors here. We have Steve. Okay, one of my advisors that is not George. Hello, George. Want to answer that question for Art and show your advisory skills?
That is a very interesting question, though. When we talk about, Seabourn versus, Crystal, Silversea, and Regent, definitely Crystal is, I would say, is one of my favorites. I mean, you got Regent, which is the best of the best, all inclusive, unlimited excursions, free business class air, all of the luxury that you can experience in the world, Regent is going to give it to you. All right. Crystal is almost right at the top. I mean, Crystal is basically all inclusive, very similar to Silversea and Seabourn. However, we say that Crystal is the small ship with big ship amenities. And the reason why is because, you have all these Broadway shows, you have bigger you have bigger ships. So I would say that I would go on either one.
Hold on.
I wouldn't say that, Seabourn is way better than Crystal or way better than Silversea, for example. They each have their own niche of clients. So
but let's
if you have traveled with Seabourn before, you might find that Crystal is maybe a little bit more traditional compared to the country club casual ambience on Seabourn. You might find that Seabourn has bigger suites, bigger cabins, because they have a smaller ship, less passengers. So this gives them the opportunity to have bigger cabins. Besides that, I would say that they are hand in hand, they're at the same level. That's pretty much what I can say. Compared with Silversea is more contemporary luxury. So you're gonna see the white glove service, the butler service. You're gonna see that they expect you, but you will see that people go more formally dressed at night to the restaurant compared to Seabourn, which is more more relaxed. Although Silversea does have most of the times very strong promotions, Crystal does also. I mean, Crystal lets you see the world from any point of view. You can go on an ocean cruise, you can go on an expedition, you can go on a Crystal cruise, you can even go on a yacht. Whether Silversea, for example, gives you ocean cruising and expedition. Seabourn also the same, and Regent pretty much the same. So I would say that Crystal is a very, very complete cruise line compared to the other 6. That is pretty much what separates Crystal from any of the other 6-star, any of the other cruise lines.
Okay, thank you.
Overall, they're great.
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I was asking from a reference of, I'm very familiar with Silversea, with Crystal, and with Regent, but I have yet to go on the Seabourn. I'm familiar with all the amenities that they all offer. I was just wondering if you've been on Seabourn or the other 3, what you would prefer, why you would prefer the Seabourn, specifically the Seabourn.
Let me just.
I know about all the other 3.
Let me answer this real quick. It's a very hard question to answer because it's really all about taste. And the reason why I say this is I have people that are die-hard fans of Seabourn and will say Seabourn is the best one out there, right?
Right.
But I think that our job as travel advisors is to try to always find and recommend what taste is going to fit, what's going to fit better to your taste. And I think the one thing about Seabourn is Seabourn is going to be a lot more intimate. Seabourn is going to be, smaller ships than Regent, smaller ships than Crystal, right? Seabourn's going to have, there's some new ships that Crystal has, that Seabourn has, for example, that in some of the itineraries, if you're comparing one cruise and the other, we're going to go down to, okay, what ship is Seabourn using for this itinerary? What ship is Silversea using for itinerary? And let's see which one's better in terms of the amenities or how new it is. So, for example, Seabourn has the Venture. The Venture is their new expedition ship, and it's the most amazing, together with the Endeavor that Crystal has. Those are the two top expedition ships in the market right now. The two newer ships from Seabourn are spectacular too. So, I think when it comes to also luxury, it also maybe a little bit to do with your taste in culinary. The head chef for Seabourn is Thomas Keller, and they're die-hard fans of Thomas Keller's, and they'll go on Seabourn because they want to follow Thomas Keller and his culinary style. So when it comes to that level, it's extremely hard to say this one's better than the other one, but those are probably the uniquenesses of Seabourn that I want to highlight, right? So, if you've ever had dinner at a Thomas Keller restaurant, you know what type of a culinary you're going to expect, which is incredible, by the way. I definitely recommend one of the newer ships on Seabourn, and if you just want something even more relaxed than all the other ones, and then Seabourn's probably going to be the one that's going to be the more relaxed in terms of style, right? So
Very good. Very good. Thank you.
Yeah. What else would you want to know, Art? We're happy to answer any question you might have.
Oh, no. The Seabourn I've been contemplating going on, and I've been on all the other three, and I've loved them all. My wife's favorite is Crystal. I've been on the Silver Muse, and I thought that was excellent. And we've got a Silver Moon scheduled to South America, so we kind of like the smaller ship atmosphere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
thank you.
if we ever find a good Seabourn itinerary that you like, you should try it. I don't think you're going to be disappointed at all.
Right.
And if you liked the Muse, then most definitely would stick to one of the newer ships at Seabourn. Not to say that the older ones are bad, but the newer ones are going to be a little bit more similar to the experience that you had in the Muse.
Right. Thank you.
All right. So if anybody has any more questions, feel free to reach out. We're here. Art, thank you very much for participating, and thank you for being here. And all of you that stayed with us till the end, Michael, Sue, Gary, Linda, Carl, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. If anybody has any other questions for us? I'm not rushing anybody. Just want to make sure that I'm addressing everybody's questions. Okay, so if that's the case, then I want to say goodbye to everybody, and I want to thank everybody again for being here, and stay tuned for more Zoom calls and Q&A sessions with more cruise lines to come. Thank you very, very much for being here, and see you soon. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.